We are back. Week 4, boys and girls. It is time to get back to school. I am your teacher and host, Mr. Ritenour, and boy, do we have a lot of fun stuff to do this week. Let's get things started with a little video from your very own Emily Popovich. Nice back walkover. It was so good. Let's watch it one more time. Wow. Coronavirus cannot bring you or your gymnastic skills down, Emily. Way to go. I hope that inspires all of you, boys and girls, to get out and exercise every day. Good job, Popovich. All right, so let's kick things off the school day with some common sense. So lesson 49, memorize your parents' phone numbers. You might not think that's important, but I cannot tell you how many times I've been in a situation where there was an emergency and I asked the child, what's your mom's number or what's your dad's phone number? And they just look at me with blank stares. It is not just important to know your parents' phone numbers. It can be, and I'm not exaggerating, life-saving to know your parents' phone numbers. Because sometimes we end up in situations that we don't plan for, and we need the help of our parents. You need to know those numbers, all right? If you don't know any of your parents' phone numbers, start by memorizing one, okay? Maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your dad, or maybe you live with grandma. Get at least one number memorized. Then, if you'd like, and I recommend it, memorize the other phone number, okay? I know our cell phones nowadays have programmed contacts, so you don't really need to know the digits. But what if you're in a situation where you need to use someone else's phone? You can't just go into the contacts and look up mom, all right? It's not going to work like that. You need to know at least your parents' phone numbers. Okay, so that's your words of wisdom. I need everyone to pause the video and go get your Go Math books. All right, so today we are going to finish chapter 12. And the last lesson in chapter 12 is all about taking the shapes that we've learned and looking at them from a fraction point of view. And we're also going to be bringing back last chapter's lesson on area. So I hope that didn't leave your brain already. So let's just start with the investigate. You might not have these at home. I know I don't. So I'm just going to do it on the screen here. It says to get a hexagon, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides, and to divide it into 2 parts. So if I were just to take a dotted line and I were to split this hexagon into 2 parts, it would look something like this. So the part C, it says write the names of the new shapes. Well, if you look here, I've got that shape up top, and then I've got the exact same, but upside down on the bottom. Oops. So let me just make this purple. All right. If I were to, I'm going to undo that because it didn't do what I wanted. But if I were to cut my yellow hexagon in half, I end up with 2, what do we call those shapes? They've got 4 sides, so we know that they are a type of quadrilateral. But what type of quadrilateral has 1 pair of parallel sides? Yeah, that's a trapezoid. So now we have 2 trapezoids. When you split a hexagon in half, you end up with 2 trapezoids. Which fraction names each part? Well, how many parts did we split our whole into? What do you think, Jasper? Good, 2 parts, right? Part 1, part 2. So each of these parts is called a half. Good job, Jasper. All right, so Evan, if you have 1/2 up here and 1/2 down here, combined, how many halves do you have? Good. 2 halves, and we write it like that, 2 over 2. So that's the fraction that names the whole area of our hexagon. Now let's draw some conclusions. Explain how you know that the two shapes have the same area. London, how do you know that these two trapezoids, these two red trapezoids, have the same area? Well, it's not a trick question. You know that they have the same area because they're the exact same shape. They're identical. To use a geometry word, we call that congruent. That's a little bonus word for you. All right, they're congruent. They're the exact same, so they have the exact same area. All right, good job, London. So, predict what would happen if you divide the hexagon into 3 shapes with equal areas. What fraction names the area of each part of the divided hexagon? What fraction names the whole area? So if you were to take this hexagon and split it into thirds, it would look something like this. Okay, that's not perfect by any means. You know what, that's really, I'm going to do it one more time. Try to be a little neater about this. Boom, boom, boom. So if I were to split it into 3 parts, now Sophie, how many parts do I have? 1, 2, 3 parts. So each part is how many out of 3? Good, 1/3. So each part is 1/3 of the hexagon. The whole area would be 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 makes, good, 3 thirds. It's my potty humor. Show how you can divide the hexagon into 4 shapes with equal area. All right, well, 4 shapes with equal area. We're going to have to split it into fourths. So let me take my lines, delete them, and try making it into 4. So I'm cutting it in half, cutting it in half again. I have 4 equal parts, so each one of those is a quarter or 1/4. So each part is 1/4 of the whole shape's area. Does that make sense? You've got 1/4 here, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. Each one of those colors is 1 out of 4. All right, so that's just a little reminder here for fractions. And the word area means how much fits. How many shapes fit in here? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 is what we split it in. Okay, flip it. The rectangle on the right is divided into 4 parts with equal areas. How do we know that? Well, if you count, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 square units on that first shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 square units. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each one of those is 5 square units. Write the unit fraction that names each part of the divided whole. So Bobby, our big rectangle here, you see in purple that I'm outlining, how many pieces is it split into? Good, it's split into 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So write the unit fraction would be 1/4. What is the area of each part? Well, I kind of just did that. So if you're paying attention, Lucas, you wouldn't even have to count. But let's just review again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one's 5. Let's double check to make sure the other ones are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Lucas, what's the area of each part? 5. And don't forget your label. I know you wouldn't, Lucas. 5 square units. Good work. So how many quarter parts does it take to make the whole? Well, we don't even need a picture for that. If they're split into fourths, how many does it take to make a whole? Patina. Yeah, it takes 4 pieces to make a whole if each piece is 1/4. Because 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 is going to equal one big whole. Is the shape of each of the quarter parts the same? Is the shape of each of the quarter parts the same? What do you think, Cody? Well, no. You're right. No. Look at this shape right here. I'm going to outline it in black. Okay? That shape is not the same. This reminds me of that game Tetris. Or you ever play in the math lab? I know Mr. Nidge has it. What's that game called? Not Roblox. Blockus. So look, those two shapes are definitely not the same. But let's see, whose turn is it? Fish. Is each area the same? Yes, each area is the same, but each shape's not the same. So explain how you know. Yes, 5 square units each, right? You could count them up. Okay, so good job on part 1. Now let's look at part 2. Divide the shape into equal parts. Draw lines to divide the rectangle into 6 parts with equal areas. So let's split it into 6 parts with equal areas. I'm going to take a line, and I'm going to split this into 6 equal parts. So I'm going to start by splitting it right down the middle in half. And then I need to split each side into thirds. Why? Well, because half of 6 is 3. So let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm gonna have to restart here. I messed up. I'm gonna split. Oh, I'm gonna split it down the middle again. I'm gonna split each part into thirds. That's what I meant to do, but I messed up. I went the wrong way. Alright, so it doesn't have to be perfect, boys and girls. Certainly mine is not even close. But if you can try your best to draw something like that, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rectangles inside my shape. And to make it perfect, I probably should draw myself a border. So if you can see here, I've got 6 rectangles. What's the fraction of each one? So each one, numerator 1, is 1 part of how many total parts? 6. All right, Jacob, what's the area of each of the parts? So count how many squares are in one rectangle, Jacob. So I'm going to highlight one rectangle here. How many squares are inside that? En español, por favor. 1, 2, 3, 4 square. Don't forget your label. It's area. 4 square units. Each part is blank of the whole shape's area. Well, each part is going to be the same as our first answer, 1/6 of the area. So the area is going to be 4 times 6. So what is the area of our whole giant rectangle, Emily? Good, 24, and your label? Square units, 24 square units. Good job. All right, Last question on this page. It says divide the trapezoid into 3 parts with equal areas. So picture 3 triangles here. You got 3 equilateral, to use a good math word from last week, 3 equilateral triangles. All right, all 3 have the same equal sides. Write the fraction of each part. Well, if I were to take my crayon, I've got 1, I've got 2, and I've got 3. So each one of those is what fraction, Willow? Good. 1/3. 1, 2, 3 pieces, and one of them would be 1/3. Great. Okay, now let's get to the fun stuff here. Draw lines to divide the shape in equal parts, then show the fraction that's given. So go ahead and try 1/6. My hint to you is think fractions of 1/3. Sorry, think triangles. Gosh, it's a new week and I can't speak. All right, maybe on your book you did something that looks like, not like that, Mr. R. Stop messing up. Something that looks kind of like this. You've got 6 supposedly equal pieces. All 6 are triangles. Okay, the next one's a lot easier. Go ahead and split this into halves. Does yours look something like maybe this? Yeah, that would be one way of doing it. Another way would be like this. Both work. All right, the next one, it's fun. It's 1/8. Go ahead and try to split that into eighths. And remember, they have to be equal pieces. All right, here's what I did. Split it into fourths. And then I split each of those in half because 2 times 4 is 8. So now there I have not the British flag, but eighths. Bonus trivia, the British flag is known as the Union Jack. The Union Jack. All right, let's draw lines to divide the shapes into equal parts. So the first one says 8 equal parts. Let's do it. Okay, I'm curious to see what you did. I did 1. Whoops. 2, 3, something like that. Obviously not as messy. It's crooked, but you have 8 parts with an area of 1, 2, 2 square units. No matter how you cut your shape into 8 equal parts, you will have the same exact area as me, 2 square units. All right, let's cut this rectangle into 6 equal parts. So I'm going to do it while you work on the one in your book. So I've got 6 equal parts. See the rectangles? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, Michael, if you look at one of those parts, so I'm going to outline it in green. What is my area? How many squares fit in that rectangle? Good, 4. And don't forget your label, Michael. Square units. All right, number 7. Whew, this one's going to take some thinking. Split this shape into 4 equal parts. Well, why don't we try finding the area of the whole thing? So let's count up each of the squares together. Okay, we'll start right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 is the total, and we need to split it into 4 equal parts. What operation means to split into equal groups? Carson? Yeah, division, right? 12 divided by 4 is going to tell me how many are in each. So what is 12 divided by 4, Wiley? Good. 3. So I need to make a uh, I need to make shapes that have an area of 3. So let me clean off my paper. Can you go ahead and try that right now on your own to make shapes that are 3 as the area? All right, so that's what I did. And those are equal parts because they all have the same area, which Carson and Wiley found was 3 square units. Now, I like that your Go Math book had this problem in here because not every shape is going to be a pretty rectangle or a square. Sometimes you're going to get shapes that look like this guy. And you need to know that in order to split it equally into equal parts, you've got to find the total area, which we did. That's what we got right here, 12. And then you need to divide it by the number of equal parts, which was 4. All right, mathematicians, let's use some reasoning. If the area of 3, I think those are rhombuses, is equal to the area of 1 hexagon, the area of how many rhombuses equals 4 hexagons? Huh. This is one of those logic puzzles here. All right, so the area of 3 of those is equal to 1 of those. So you've got a 3 to 1. It's called a ratio. 3 to 1. If you have 4 of these, you are multiplying this ratio by 4. How many diamonds or rhombuses? So if I'm going to multiply this side by 4, I need to multiply this side by 4. So what is 3 times 4, Jasper? Good. 12 of those diamonds or rhombuses. Think smarter. Divide each shape into the number of equal parts, then write the fraction that describes the part as a whole. So once again, another good chance to practice. Let's take our hexagon here and split it into 2 equal parts. Each part is what fraction, Evan? So you got 2 parts. Each fraction is 1/2. Good. All right, what if you have 4 equal parts from this 8-sided shape? What's an 8-sided shape? London. 8 sides. It's a stop sign. It's called an octagon. So we're going to split it into fourths. And then, London, tell me what each fraction would be. Good, 1/4. So each one is 1/4. Last question, 6 equal parts. Split it in half. Sorry. Got 1, 2. That's my best shot at 6 equal parts. Each one of those is going to be what fraction? Sophie. 1 out of the total number of parts, 6. 1/6. All right, well done. Let's see. Divide the hexagon into 6 equal parts. Which pattern block represents 1/6? Well, we don't have pattern blocks, but you can tell me what shape would I have if I split this hexagon into sixths. Just take your pencil and draw lines like I did across each from opposite corners. I'm going to just take my crayon in here, and even though you don't have pattern blocks, you should be able to see that each one of these is what type of triangle. Yeah. And equilateral, and if you were to measure the angles, they're all three acute. So the best answer would be acute, equilateral. It's a lot to write. If you just want to write triangle, go ahead. Triangles. Okay, now we're going to divide a trapezoid into 3 equal parts. We've already done this once today. You make those same thing into acute equilateral triangles. See? So if you want to, you can just take your answer from the first one and just go ahead and click that button that says clone, drag it over. Just kidding. I know you can't do that. Just draw like an arrow like this. That way you know it's the same. All right, we're going to skip that and just go straight to the next page here, our practice page. Draw lines to divide the shape into the equal parts that it shows. So we need to draw lines to make this into thirds. So if you look at the total area, you've got how much? Bobby. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right, Bobby? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I were to split 6 into 3 groups, I'm going to divide it by 3. Each group's going to have how many in it, Bobby? 2, right? 2. So now let's take our lines and let's split it. Oops, not the right kind of line, Mr. R. There we go. Not perfect, but it'll work for this. So I've got thirds. How about number 2? Let's see, Lucas, eighths. Well, let's find the total area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I know there's another row of 8, so 8 plus 8 is 16. So Lucas, you're going to take 16 and you're going to split it into 8 groups. How many are going to be in each? What's 16 divided by 8? Good, 2 once again. So we're going to make groups of 2 here. So go ahead and just take your lines and count it by 2s. There's a group of 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So if you were to add up, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well done. Last, 1/2. So patina, if you were to split this in half, now this one you could probably just look at and be like, okay, duh, Mr. R. I'm just going to cut it right down the middle, up or down, it doesn't matter. But if you didn't know how to do that, you could go back and do what we have been doing and count each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Split it into 2 groups, and each one's going to have, Patina? 4. Good job. Also, Peyton, I loved that you busted out the M&Ms to help you with your trivia on Friday. That was really nice of your mom. Really cool. I hope you earned a lot of M&Ms. All right, folks, let's move on here. I want you to split number 4 into 4 equal parts. So, Cody, before you just start hacking away at this shape, let's find the total area, Cody. So count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've got 12 total, Osborne, and I want to split it into how many equal parts? Good. Splitting is basically, your mind should be like division. Splitting or dividing are the same thing. So you're going to split 12 into 4 equal groups. Each group's going to have how many, Cody? Good, 3. All right, so let's keep that in mind as we're making shapes here. We need to make shapes of 3. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes, my shapes don't have to look the same. 1, 2, 3. And my fourth group, I'll make it yellow. 1, 2, 3. So each one of those groups has an area of 3 square units. Nice, Cody. All right, Peyton Fisher, 6 equal parts. Let's count and find the total area of this cross here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 again. And we're gonna split 12 into 6 equal parts. That's the same thing as dividing, right? 12 divided by 6 equals what, Fish? Good, equals 2. And so our answer is 2 square units. And now let's draw those shapes, all right? We've got 1, 2, and hopefully you're doing this right now as I'm doing it in your book. 3, 4, 5, just enough colors here, 6. So you got 6 rectangles with 2 square units in each. All right, good job, Fish. Now let's move on to Jacob. Jacob, you've got the hard one here. You've got 3 equal parts in this awesome like fighter ship, whatever you want to call that. In order to find out how many are in each part, let's find out how many are in the whole. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you've got 9 and you want to split it into 3 equal parts. So Jacob, how many are going to be in each? Great job. 3 square units. Take total and divide it by the number of parts. Now let's draw it, Doobie. You've got 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. 3 equal parts right there. All right, so Bobby, you're up because this question has your name in it. Bobby or Robert divided a hexagon into 3 equal parts. Show how he might have divided the hexagon and write the fraction that names each of the parts that you divided. So you're going to split this into 3 equal parts, Bobby. Draw a dot right in the middle, everyone. Good. Now, how do we split this into thirds? Well, I want you to start in the top left corner right here and draw one line down and then go at a straight to the right. You've got 1/3. And now another line would finish you off because now you have 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3, and they're all equal. They're all diamonds. Write the fraction that names each part of the whole you divided. You just did 1/3. Okay, Emily, trace a pattern block, blah, blah, blah. We can't. All right, we don't have pattern blocks at home. Divide it into 2 equal parts, write a fraction, but you can do that. So if you divide it into 2 equal parts, we can do that last part. Each fraction is going to be what, Emily? Yeah, each fraction is going to be 1/2. Good job. All right, it's your turn. Pause the video. Get that next page done. All right, do it on your own. Come back whenever it's done and you can check your answers, okay? All right, so here's the answers. Pause it, check yourself. Message me if you have any questions. But that's it. Once you're done, take a break, and I'll see you back here whenever you're ready. All right, so we're going to move on here with a little bit of science. We're going to look at a video of the rainforest. So pay attention to the vocabulary because it is going to help with the next part that we're doing. All right, so turn your attention to SciShow Kids.
It's a drizzly, rainy day outside, so we thought we'd pull out a few of our books and explore some cool, colorful places where wet weather is pretty much the only weather there is. I'm talking about rainforests. You can probably tell from the name that rainforests have a whole lot of two things: trees and rain. And sure enough, rainforests get more rain than any other place on Earth. In some areas of the rainforest, it rains every day. And people often think that rainforests all look like this: warm and steamy, with animals like colorful birds and plants like bananas and mango trees. And there are lots of rainforests like that. But a rainforest can also look like this: home to animals that are adapted to cooler weather, like bears and elk. Both of these places are rainforests, but they're found in different parts of the world. The warm rainforests are found here, close to the imaginary line that runs around the middle of the Earth. This part of the world is called the tropics. It gets lots of sun, which is why
Okay, so the tropics is the middle of the Earth, right? It's where the most sun reaches the Earth. Hence why you see this line, the equator. Hence why we call those rainforests tropical rainforests.
the temperature is really warm almost all of the time. And there are a lot of different kinds of plants and animals that live in these warm rainforests. So many, in fact, that scientists talk about the rainforest as having layers that change as you go from the top to the bottom. And different animals and plants live in each layer. For example, at the top layers of the rainforest in the tropics, all you can see is the very tippy tops of the tallest trees. There's lots of sunlight up there that the trees use to grow, so these tall trees have lots of leaves. And these big leafy trees make lots of shade. They block some of the sunlight from getting to the lower layers, kind of like a big green umbrella. And all of the leaves and fruit in the top layers means that there's plenty of food for animals to eat. So many different kinds of animals live up here, like insects, parrots, bats, monkeys, and sloths. Some of these animals never even go down to the ground at all. They don't need to. Everything they need is at the top of the rainforest. Now, the lower layers don't get as much sunlight as the top, but they're still home to plenty of living things, like snakes, lizards, and even big cats, like tigers and jaguars. And just like the animals at the top of the rainforest, animals down below are perfectly suited to the place where they live. The big cats, for example, have patterns on their coats that help them blend in with the rainforest. The jaguar has spots, and the tiger, as you all know, has stripes. And these patterns help the animals hide amongst the shadows of the trees. Okay, but what about the cooler rainforests? They're found here, much farther away from the tropics. These rainforests are cooler because they don't get as much sun as the warmer ones. They also have layers, but the plants and animals that live there are pretty different. The top layer of cooler rainforest, for example, is made of conifers. Those are the kinds of trees that usually have cones, like pines and redwood trees. And these kinds of trees have needles too, like some other kinds of evergreens. These needles help the trees save energy during the cold winters. And it's not only the plants that are different here. Animals that live in these rainforests also have to be able to live in cooler temperatures. So many of the creatures that live in the lower layers of these rainforests have coats that help keep them warm. For example, some tigers live in these cool rainforests, and they also have striped coats that help them blend into the shadows. But their fur is nice and thick, so it keeps them warm. And other furry mammals live in these cold forests, like brown bears, black bears, and elk.
All right, so these cool rainforests are called temperate rainforests. All right, so you got the warm rainforests, which are tropical, and you've got the cool rainforests, which are temperate. And look at the difference in animals. All right, the elk live in the temperate rainforest, but the jaguars live in the tropical rainforest.
Quite different from the macaws and monkeys that live in the warmer forests. Wow, that was quite an amazing.
All right, so I'm gonna exit out of her video, and I'm gonna show you what I created for us today. All right, so there we go. So what is a rainforest? After watching that video, you should know that a rainforest is simple. It's in the name. Yeah, it's a forest with a lot of rain. Forest that gets a lot of rain. That's what a rainforest is. Now, a rainforest can only exist in certain places, all right? Places that get tons of rain and a lot of sun are the places that you're going to find a rainforest. And this combination of rain and sun and plants and animals are what make rainforests such a valuable ecosystem. Now, in the video, you saw that there's two different types of rainforest. There's the tropical, which is warm all year round. Tropical rainforests are warm. And then you've got the temperate, which means cool or mild. That's whenever most of the time it's really cool. Now, temperate rainforests sometimes have like a little summer. It's brief, it's not very long, where it's pretty dry. But in general, temperate are cool and tropical are warm. So where are you going to find them? Well, you're going to find tropical rainforests near the equator. The red on that map is the places that you'd find the tropical rainforest. I want to draw your attention to a very specific tropical rainforest. All right here. You see where my arrow is pointing? That tropical rainforest is usually what we see in movies. It's the most famous type of rainforest. There's even a company named after it. You guessed it. That's the Amazon rainforest, named after the Amazon River that flows through. All right. Where would you find a temperate rainforest? Well, to contrast that, look at our map on the right. This is the equator right here. The tropical rainforests, as you can see from the other map, are all in like this area right around the equator. But look at the bright green. It's way up north and way down south. That's because temperate rainforests don't get as much sun. They're not as hot, but they certainly have a lot of rain. So they are still considered rainforests as well. What kind of animals would you find in a tropical rainforest? So look back to the left here. In a tropical rainforest, you're going to find animals that live in warm temperatures, like the macaw or toucan. You've got tree frogs, butterflies, and that bottom corner you've got jaguars. So these are the kind of animals that you find in a warm climate, like a tropical rainforest. Compare that to the other side. Let me delete this really quick. And you've got animals like the mountain lion, which is also known as a bobcat. You've got black bears, grizzly bears, elk. These are animals that need cooler temperatures. They would not survive in the warm tropical rainforest, but they do love the temperate or cool rainforests. All right, so what kind of plants do you find in the tropical rainforest? You find a lot of lush, leafy plants that have like this waxy coating on it. If you can see, it's kind of shiny. Oh, I picked the wrong color. Big leaves. That's what you find in the tropical rainforest. But in the temperate rainforest, you find an awful lot of moss and ferns. The trees are not deciduous trees, they are coniferous trees. So they have cones. That's what coniferous means, all right? Evergreens. All right, so now you know a little bit more about the rainforest, and hopefully you'll be able to distinguish between the tropical rainforests and the temperate rainforests from now on. Great job, boys and girls. We are going to move on to some story time. Okay, every week I like to do some kind of story. This week's story is called The Good Samaritan. Now, this is a very famous story. It comes from the Bible, and it was originally told by Jesus, all right? And he told this story to try to answer the question, what does love your neighbor mean? So you've probably heard of that. It's called the Golden Rule, love thy neighbor or love your neighbor. What does that even mean to love your neighbor? Well, let me tell this story using a little bit different characters to try to relate more to your life of the Good Samaritan, okay? My version is called The Good Neighbor. So the story starts with a Mercer Mustang is walking down the street, all right? She's walking down the street when all of a sudden, boom, a gang shows up and beats him up. Boom, 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 boom. All right, and now this poor Mercer Mustang is like all bloody, all right, beat up, can't even move. Poor guy. The gang disappears. We never see them again. They're gone. So this Mercer Mustang's all bloody, beat up on the side of the road, needing a lot of help. Well, what do you know? A priest comes walking by. The priest sees the poor Mustang all beat up and hurt and in need of help and says, "Oof, that's terrible. I'm really busy though, so I'm just going to keep moving." And the priest goes away. Doesn't even stop. Next, you've got another fellow Mustang who is walking down the path and sees the beat up, bloody, injured Mustang and says, "Oh man, that really stinks, but I'm in a huge hurry and I don't really want to get involved with that." So he walks right past and keeps going without helping. This poor beat up Mustang is so sad, but they sees another person walking down the street. Uh-oh, it's a West Middlesex Big Red. Oh, there's no way that a Big Red is going to help out a Mustang. But guess what? That Big Red stops. And he sees the injured poor Mustang. And he stops and says, "Oh my goodness, what happened? Let me help you." And so he takes the Mustang and he gives him a bath, cleans him up, he helps him with his wounds, and he even takes him all the way to an inn. All right, so they go to the inn, and the Big Red leaves the Mustang and says to the Mustang, he says, "I am going to leave some money for you to stay and get healed and get better, and you can stay as long as you want until you're ready to get back up." And then the Big Red leaves, and the Mustang heals and gets better. All right, the story's almost over. At the end of the story, Jesus, in the original, asks, which one of those people loved their neighbor? Yeah, obviously it was the Big Red. The Big Red, even though it's an enemy of Mercer, was the one that loved their neighbor. The priest that walked past them, you'd think that that priest would love thy neighbor, but no. Even the fellow Mustang walked past. Which one of those people was the one that actually helped the Mustang? This guy, right? The Big Red. So the point of this story is that in order to love your neighbor, it means to actually go out of your way to help those around you. All right? It doesn't matter where you're from or what you do, you can always be a good Samaritan. Okay, so that's your story time for today. Let's finish with some simple solutions. Get out your grammar books and open up to lesson 115. Number 1, choose the word that means put things in order. Then use it in a sentence. Well, for the sake of time, let's just pick the word that means to put things in order. What do you think? Answer, arrange, or explain? Yep, to arrange means to put things in order. All right, number 2, label each noun S for singular, meaning one, or P for plural, meaning more than one. Hooves. Well, it ends in ES, which means it is plural, right? Wing. Well, if it was wings, we know it'd be plural. Speaking of, I love wings. I wish I had some right now. But one wing would be singular, so put an S there. Duck. Wah, wah. No S at the end, so duck is just singular. Snails, plural, more than one, right? Has an S. C for concrete, A for abstract. So for those of you that have forgotten, concrete means that you can touch it. Abstract means that you can't. So I ran to get my backpack for school. Can you touch a backpack or can you feel a backpack, right? You can actually touch a backpack, so it's concrete. I was late because I couldn't go to sleep. Can you touch sleep? No. Sleep is an idea. You feel it or you experience it. So it is abstract. All right. So in, im, dis all mean not. Invalid or invalid means, look for this word. Good, not valid. Impolite, hopefully none of you are that. Look for the word polite on the other side. There it is. Impolite. And disrespect. Dis means not, showing respect. Good job. Circle the noun that is the subject of the sentence. Underline the noun that is the object. So the subject comes at the beginning, the object comes at the end. Sorry, I'm going to do that one in purple. So the green subject one, Renee tells jokes. Renee is a person. She is my subject noun. The object, what is she telling? That's going to be mine. Object, noun, jokes. All right, which adverb tells us where? Catch the ferry here. Where are we catching? Here. Well done, boys and girls. Last page. You're getting close. Choose the best subordinating. Oh my gosh, that's just a big word. Conjunction from the word box. So which one makes the most sense? Because, unless, which, or when. Bundle up to go outside. Blank, you would rather stay indoors. What'd you get, boys? Good. Unless. Little cursive. Ladies, Haley won all the awards. Blank made her very happy. What'd you get, girls? Good. Witch. No, not that kind of witch. Different. Underline the words that match the underlined word in the sentence. So examine the evidence and you'll see a pattern, said the detective. Which words mean examine? Overlook, investigate, inspect, or glance at. So examine means to overlook. No, if it was just look, I'd say yes. But because it says overlook, I'm going to cross that one off. Investigate, to examine or to investigate. Oh, yeah. Inspect. Uh-huh. Glance at. Examine doesn't mean to just glance at. It means to actually, like, explore and investigate it. So, investigate and inspect. Choose the word to complete the sentence. Write it on the line. Miss Collins can speak a blank in addition to English. So what can you speak here? 100 instead or language? Boys? Yeah, language. Miss Collins can speak a language in addition to English. Tu parles français, maybe? Maybe French? Tu hablas español, maybe. Do you speak English? Sprechen Sie Deutsch, German? Sorry, tu hablas español means do you speak Spanish? All right, number 10. Choose the strongest adjective, boys, or girls, this time it's girls, to complete the sentence. We began to devour the blank pizza before our waiter had walked away. So which word would be the strongest? Tasty, good, or delicious? Oh, yes. All this talk about pizza and wings. I'm so hungry right now. Delicious. delicious. All right, boys and girls, that's all I have for you today. I hope that you are able to get all the questions right on the Google form after this. Don't forget that on Wednesday we are going to have a Google Meet again, a little powwow Kevin time. But keep doing your specials. Don't forget you still need to make sure you're logging in to gym, art, music, computer, and library on Google Classroom. But that's all I have. I will see you back here tomorrow on my birthday, actually, for another fun day of learning. All right, peace out, Girl Scouts.